You are now listening to a wonderful rendition of a dead meme by the one and only Savage Regime. If you don't know who Savage Regime is, look up Savage Regime on YouTube. Very talented music composer for the SEGA Mega Drive, who is currently working on Xenocrisis, which makes me very happy to know that, because Xenocrisis looks like it might be a really good game, and you know, I mean, by having Savage Regime do the music, I mean that I'm excited for that game. So yeah, I don't even really know what the name of this fucking song is because it's in Japanese. I think it's something like Computing of Lisa Frank or something? And then, I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's a meme. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a dead meme as well. One that died fucking years ago. But Savage Regime did a little thing as an April Fool's joke. And it was this. And I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I kind of like it a little bit too much. I like it so much that I made this dumb fucking picture as well, which I'm very proud of. Took me like 5 minutes or something like that. Unfortunately, no, you can't play Echo the Dolphin on Mega CD with the Konami justifier, but yeah. Fortunately, they didn't get that right, but yeah, anyways, let's actually play a game now. Now, hopefully this stream will go a little bit better than the last one. And I'm gonna be playing Tenzer again, which should be interesting. You know, I played it for like half an hour last time. Didn't get very far. And I haven't really played the game again like all week, so this should be interesting. There we go. See, now I've set it up before I started streaming, which is smart. Last time I had to get the fucking cartridge and everything. Now I don't have to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing Tenzer for a bit, and we'll see how it goes. Probably gonna die a lot, just like last time, because my gaming skills are on par with, you know, Dark Side Phil, and people like him. So, but you know, at least I'm aware that I suck at video games. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing Tenzer for a bit. We'll see how it goes, and then, if I feel like it, I might play another game. Not sure which one. But hey, if you got any recommendations, come watch this shit live on Twitch. I want to do this like every Saturday or so, but you know, I still have to figure out kind of what the right day and time is to be streaming, you know? Like, I feel like during weekdays might not be a good idea to actually stream because, you know, people have jobs and shit like that, right? So, let's actually start the game right now. Cool music, I like it. So the one thing that I haven't really tried is I haven't tried the other fonts, which is a little harder to read. Now, I'm curious what the difference is between these two. Like, last time I had them on, I had the Gold Collect Anim on, and I had the weather effect on extra. So I'm gonna turn both of them off, and we'll see what that changes. I'm not sure what it does, but we'll figure it out. My partner was first to turn to the worst, so yeah. Like, it says it's a performance thing, so I assume that if you turn those things off, the game, like, goes faster or something like that? I don't know. Alright, so... Alright, I'm already getting hit by like the third enemy, so... Once again, we're off to a great start. So yeah, I haven't really played this game again, so this is really my second time playing this game. And I like this game. I really do. So I don't really see the difference in the weather effect. I'm not sure what the point of changing that is, but maybe the weather effect is a little bit slower if you don't have it on extra or whatever. Ah, that's how you do that. Okay. So I guess that's what they meant by secret areas. Just, you know. Alright, so this isn't hard, but I'll probably mess it up anyway. Then we get another hit point. And then, let's go down. I actually have a lot more gold now than I did last time. I think I can actually buy the first transmutation. I can also buy the fire one as well, so let's do that instead, because the fire one seems a little bit more useful. I know, I could do a thing here, yeah, I can... But what's the point of doing that? Like, this doesn't lead anywhere. Hmm. There's the cowboy again. Man, you know what? Speaking of cowboys, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot, but I feel like I'm not making any progress with that game, you know? Like, it's so long to actually, you know, get through the story in that game, and it's actually kind of putting me off, you know what I mean? Like, Red Dead is really kind of a game where you have to be in a certain mood in order to play it. And I played that game a lot when it just came out, because I love the first one. I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption, of course, not Red Dead Revolver. I haven't played that game ever, but yeah, so I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and like, it's the thing that puts me off is I do like fucking 10 missions, and then I'm still, you know, I'm still only like 2%. I still only make like 2% progress in the story or something like that. And it's like, come on, how many fucking missions does this game have? I finally made it to Saint Denis. You know, and I'm still only like 38% into the storyline in that game. And I don't know, the fact that it's so fucking long actually kind of puts me off, you know? Like, something that I finally realized just recently is that I think I actually prefer shorter games over the really long ones, you know? Like, really long games are cool. And I remember when I was a little bit younger, I used to think that, you know, if a game wasn't like 60 hours long, then it wasn't worth your money or anything like that. But the truth is, short games are really cool too, you know, and short games have more replay value usually than the really long games. And you know, I don't know where I'm going with this, by the way. I'm just talking. I kind of feel like the sound is kind of weird, but maybe that's me. I have the feeling that the sound is a little weird right now. Like, the sound quality is kind of off. It's kind of scratchy. But that might just be on my end, I don't know. Give me a second here. I need to figure out if the audio quality is good or not. You hear that? Like it's almost like the audio like gets really scratchy or something. Well, let's just continue playing. Nah, maybe it's just in my head, I don't know. Or maybe I need to actually, like, check. To make sure that there's nothing wrong with the audio quality. Because this is not a bad sounding game, you know. This is actually a game that has really cool music. But, you know, once it starts going all scratchy and stuff, then, you know, I don't want that to happen. I don't want the game to look bad just because I did something wrong, you know? So, yeah. There's actually some news surrounding the SEGA Mega Drive, which, I guess this leads me to a new segment on the show, and I don't really have a name for it, so here's the news segment. There are a couple of things that I recently heard about, and some of this is kind of old news, some of this is new news, I suppose. And the first thing that I want to talk about is that apparently Sega has started to officially license 8-bit DOE SEGA Mega Drive controllers, which is cool because this means that you can kind of buy brand new controllers again. Oh, this is an enemy I haven't seen before. So yeah, Sega has started to officially license third-party controllers for the SEGA Mega Drive. Which is cool because, you know, I mean, this means you can finally sort of buy real SEGA Mega Drive controllers again. And, I'm a guy who normally, like, never buys third-party controllers because many, many years ago I bought one for the Nintendo GameCube. And I did not have a good experience with that controller. You know, it was one of those, like one of those weird brands. Like, I don't even remember which one it was, but like maybe it was like Big Ben or something like that, or like Speed Link, or one of those like weird brands. And it was a GameCube controller, and whoever got to use that controller in like Mario Party and stuff like that was always the one that got fucked over, because that controller just wasn't nearly as responsive as the real controller. Like, you could feel it if you held it in your hands, that it was made of like a cheaper plastic or something like that, you know? But back then, I didn't have that much money, you know? So one of those like dumb decisions that you make when you're younger is to cheapen out on a video game controller, you know what I mean? And after that happened, you know, this was such a long time ago. This must have been like 15 years ago at this point. Yeah, I regretted that decision. And so I never bought another like cheapo third-party controller again. But with this new like 8-bit DOE officially licensed SEGA Mega Drive controller, I am thinking about buying one of those controllers, you know? Because if you think about it, if I need to buy a SEGA Mega Drive controller, or, you know, a controller for any old video game console, you know, then I really only have two options. I can either buy an official controller that's 25 years old, that's secondhand, that maybe isn't as responsive as it used to be 25 years ago. Or I could buy a brand new third-party controller from like 8BitDo or something like that. And then I won't have an official controller, you know, made by SEGA or whoever. But at least then you will still have a brand new controller. Like, I have two Super Nintendo controllers which are really stiff. Like, they don't feel right anymore. And, you know, like, Nintendo still makes Super Nintendo controllers, but they make them for the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. And you can't hook up those controllers to a real Super Nintendo. So, you know, I guess maybe I'll have to buy, like, either an adapter so I can maybe use those controllers on a real Super Nintendo, or I might have to buy, like, a third-party controller, which I don't like to do, you know. I'm the kind of guy who tries to buy, you know, original stuff. You know, like, the knockoff stuff usually isn't worth it, in my opinion. So I try to go with original stuff, especially with controllers and things like that. But, I mean, if we're talking about 30-year-old video game consoles, then sometimes your only option is to either, you know, buy a second-hand controller with the Cheeto dust still on it, or buy a third-party one, you know. And I don't really know what the right option is here. But now that SEGA is officially licensing these 8BitDo controllers, I'm thinking about buying one of those controllers, you know, just to see if it's any good. Knowing SEGA, you know, SEGA has licensed these stupid at-games SEGA Mega Drive clones, which suck. So, you know, maybe these controllers aren't that great too. Because, you know, I mean, knowing SEGA, they apparently are willing to give the SEGA Mega Drive name to just about anyone who asks for it. So, I don't know. You know, like, something that I think is really fucking weird is that when somebody makes a brand new game and puts it on a cartridge for the SEGA Mega Drive, and they go up to SEGA and they say, hey, can we use the official SEGA Mega Drive logo on our game? SEGA goes, no, we don't have the proper, like, quality assurance and things like that in place to, like, give our approval to a brand new SEGA Mega Drive game. So you're just gonna have to make an unlicensed game, basically. This is what happened to Tanglewood. This is what will happen to Xenocrisis. This is what happened to Tenzer. Anyone who makes a brand new game for the SEGA Mega Drive has to do it unlicensed, because SEGA isn't willing to give out the Mega Drive license anymore to these people. But then, you know, AtGames comes along and they go, hey, we want to make a Mega Drive clone that sucks and has the worst fucking emulation in the world. And then SEGA goes, yeah, sure, you can have the Mega Drive and the Genesis name, put it on your console, put SEGA on there as well, and then, you know, I'm sure people will buy it. And it's like, really? Like, if somebody makes a game like Tanglewood, like, just give them the fucking SEGA Mega Drive license, you know? Just go, hey, put it on the box, it doesn't matter. But, unfortunately, they can't, because, like, SEGA doesn't have the departments anymore that check old games or whatever. And really, it's as simple as just sending a game cartridge to them, and then they play it for a bit, and then it's like, alright, this is a cool game, and then they send it back and they go, here's our approval for this game. There you go. Like, that's all they need to do, you know, like. But SEGA isn't willing to do that, and instead they hand out the Mega Drive name to fucking AtGames, who makes the worst fucking Mega Drive clones ever. But I was talking about controllers, right? So yeah, these 8BitDo controllers, right? So, SEGA has licensed Mega Drive and Sega Saturn controllers. And 8BitDo is going to release, or has already released, these controllers either with a USB plug at the end, or, you know, a classic Sega Mega Drive plug at the end, and a Saturn plug for the Saturn controllers, of course. And I think that's great, you know. I wish I could buy a brand new real Super Nintendo controller for the Super Nintendo, you know, not for the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. But unfortunately I can't, so I have to deal with these old controllers that aren't nearly as responsive as they used to be. Even though I like the Super Nintendo controller, I really like that controller. But so yeah, 8-bit though is now officially making the SEGA Mega Drive controllers, which is cool, but this is kind of old news, so I don't know why I'm going on about this. The other news that I have is, let me think for a second. The other news that I have is, first of all, Analog, who you may have heard of because they... let's actually buy some fucking hit points before I move on. Let me think. Analog is a company who... Actually, let's play the game again and talk about it. Ooh, what's this? Oh, this is like a boss fight, right? Oh, what the hell? Oh no, I'm fucking dead. I can already feel it. How do I hit him? Ooh, got lucky there. Oh, so I just have to get close. Alright, so what's his pattern? Does he just like shoot 3 fireballs and then... Or then 6? And then a big one and then I'm dead. Alright. So I'm dead. Oops. That's cool. I got a little bit further than I got last time. So that is cool. But what I wanted to talk about, right, is Analog. Now, Analog is a company that has made, like, their own Super Nintendo in the past, I think. Or their own NES, I'm not sure which one it was. Which was really expensive. But, what they claimed was that it was as close to a real, you know, NES or Super Nintendo or whatever as it could be, without being an official console. And it also has like HDMI output, so it plays real games off of real cartridges, but then it outputs them in like 1080p over HDMI, and it's not exactly emulation, I don't think. But it's something else, and I don't really know the details of that, but they are also making a SEGA Mega Drive / SEGA Genesis clone console. You know, they are... What they're saying is that their console, you know, I'm not sure how it works, but... you know, it's like part emulation and part real hardware or something like that. I'm not really up to date with this, but what they are claiming is that they have made a console that is as close to the real SEGA Mega Drive and SEGA Genesis as it could possibly be. You know, it's like 99.9% accurate or something like that. But it outputs in 1080p through HDMI. So it's essentially like an HD SEGA Mega Drive console. And you can hook up your real SEGA Mega CD to this console and play Mega CD games if you want. You can also play pretty much any SEGA Mega Drive game that you want on this console. And you can also play SEGA Master System games on this console, which, of course, you can also do on a real SEGA Mega Drive. And yeah, they are saying that it's you know, pretty much the same thing as a real SEGA Mega Drive. It has all kinds of cool settings and stuff like that. And it's like sort of emulation, but not really. I'm not really sure what it is, but you know, and it plays real cartridges, of course. And it's got one built-in game called Ultra Core, which is Project Hardcore, but it's renamed due to, you know, rights issues or something like that. So yeah, Project Hardcore is a game that DICE made in the early 90s, and Psygnosis was supposed to publish it, but then at some point when the game was almost done, Psygnosis said, we're not publishing any games anymore for the Sega Mega Drive, and so then DICE got fucked, essentially. Psygnosis ended up getting bought by Sony. And so, for a very long time, Sony had the rights to this game called Project Hardcore, which was a game made by DICE, who are currently making the Battlefield games. And DICE has been trying to figure out how to get this game released for like 20 years at this point, or something like that. And they're finally doing it. The game is getting released on like PS4, I think. And a version of the game is available on the Analog Mega SG, which I assume stands for Mega Sega Genesis. And they renamed it to Project Ultra Core or something like that because, you know, they had rights issues once again, because I think Sony still somehow owns the rights to Project Hardcore. It's weird, I don't know. But, you know, DICE has been trying to figure out for forever how to get this game released. And they couldn't do it. And now, I guess, finally, after all these years, Sony made a deal with them or something like that. And now, Project Hardcore is getting released, which was originally an Amiga and Sega Mega Drive game. You know, that just, you know, it was 99% complete or something like that. And then Psygnosis just scrapped the project. They said, no, we're not releasing this. We're not releasing any more Sega Mega Drive games at this point. And then DICE was really upset by that because they worked on that game really hard. Then Psygnosis got bought by Sony, and then there was this weird situation where Sony owned the rights to a Sega Mega Drive game. And now finally that game is getting released, which is cool. And I was talking about the Analog Mega SG, right? So the Analog Mega SG is a Mega Drive clone, and it like, I think it sort of emulates the real Sega Mega Drive, but it is extremely close to the real thing, you know? Like some certain parts of it are real hardware and other parts of it are emulated or something like that. I'm not really sure how it works, but you know, you'll have to look it up yourself if you really want to know. But it's sort of like a clone console that very accurately does all the things that an original Sega Mega Drive does, and it outputs in 1080p through HDMI, which is really cool. And it plays real cartridges, and you can hook it up to your Sega Mega CD and play Sega Mega CD games, and you can play Master System games on it. You can play regular Mega Drive games on it, of course. But the one thing that is lacking, which is I'm sure most people don't give a fuck, but the one thing that is lacking is 32x support. The Mega SG will not do 32x games, unfortunately. And I guess it just wasn't worth the trouble for them to figure that out or something like that, because, I mean, who the fuck owns a 32x? Well, I do, you know. I actually have Tenzer plugged into my 32x right now. But really, I mean, who the fuck cares about the 32x? Nobody does. And yeah, the analog console, it's probably going to be really fucking expensive, so I'm not gonna buy it. But it looks interesting, you know. I mean, I really have to figure out like what it exactly is that it does, because I'm not a fan of these like emulator consoles. I have a Super Nintendo Classic Mini, I actually bought that just so I could play fucking Super Mario RPG, because that is a game that was never released in Europe. So I was like, hey, the Super Nintendo Classic Mini has Super Mario RPG on it. It also has Star Fox 2 on it. And it comes with real Super Nintendo controller. So I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. And plus it looks cool. It looks like a real Super Nintendo. So I was like, yep, I'm buying that. And so I bought the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. And I haven't really played any games on it so far. Not even Super Mario RPG. But I think I'll play that game at some point, you know. But I still use my real Super Nintendo more than I use the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. Because, you know, I'm not a real emulator guy, you know. If I can play something on the real hardware, I'll do it. You know, and especially something like, for example, the Retron 5, which is like a console that plays games on real cartridges, but then uses open source emulators to play those games. I really don't see the point of those type of consoles, you know? I mean, the Super Nintendo Classic Mini was cool because it was made by Nintendo, it has cool games on it, and it looks like a Super Nintendo. But something like the Retron 5, which is a console that, you know, you have to use real cartridges with that console, but then, you know, it uses like open source emulators that you can find on the internet to play the games. I really don't see the point of those type of consoles, because you get the inconvenience of having to use real cartridges, which you don't get if you download a bunch of emulators and ROMs on a PC. And you get the inaccuracies of emulation. So, you know what I'm trying to say? So I don't see the point of the Retron 5, you know. I mean, I think the Super Nintendo Classic Mini is cool because it's a Super Nintendo. It looks like a Super Nintendo. You know, it's just a cool thing to have. But I very rarely play games on it, which I knew that was going to happen. But yeah, something like the Retron 5, it's like, why the fuck does this thing even exist? Because, like, who wants to use real cartridges and then emulate games with open source emulators, you know? I mean, at least the Super Nintendo Classic Mini has an official Nintendo emulator. Probably the one that they used on the Wii or something. Yeah, but I like this. It's just one of those things that kind of boggles my mind, where I kind of go, wait a minute, why does this thing exist? You know, something like the Retron 5. It's just emulating games, but you have to use real cartridges. And at that point, like, what the fuck are you even doing? Just get the real consoles. You know what I mean? Just hook up your old SEGA Mega Drive and your Super Nintendo, and you're good to go. But anyway, yeah, I'm not really sure what the Mega SG does, but like, it's not really emulation, but it's still kind of emulation or something like that. But it is also extremely close to doing what the real hardware does, and you know, I have to give Analog some credit for that. And it looks interesting, but it's probably going to be really expensive, so I'm not going to buy it. So, those were two things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the controllers, and I wanted to talk about the Analog Mega SG, which are two very interesting things. But there is a third topic that, of course, I have to talk about, and that is the Mega Drive Mini, which will be released later this year by SEGA. And this is actually really interesting, you know. I mean, I've mentioned AtGames before, but in like the past 10 years or so, AtGames has been making these really crappy SEGA Mega Drive clones, but they were officially licensed, and so they usually, you know, they were basically consoles that emulated games, but they did it very poorly. And they had like built-in games. And AtGames has been doing this for years with the official SEGA license. And then, of course, at one point, Nintendo made the NES Classic Mini, which was a success, and then they made the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. which was also a success. And then of course Sony saw that they could, you know, they could get into that market, and so they made a really not that great version of the PlayStation called the PlayStation Classic, I believe. You know, and I say that it's not that great because that thing uses like an open source PlayStation 1 emulator, and it like doesn't run the games properly, and like some games are PAL versions of games and other games are NTSC versions of games, and you know, the PlayStation Classic is kind of a mess from what I've heard. I don't own one, but you know, Sony said, hey, we can get in on this, and so they made the PlayStation Classic after the Super Nintendo Classic Mini and the NES Classic Mini got hyped by everyone. And now Sega has apparently started to smarten up a bit, and they are apparently making the SEGA Mega Drive Mini themselves. And the SEGA Mega Drive Mini essentially is going to be the same thing as the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. Is going to be a miniature version of the real console that won't take cartridges. But it has built-in games that it will emulate, and you can hook it up to a modern television through HDMI, and it will display the games in 1080p. And you know, so it's still very similar to the AtGames Sega Mega Drive consoles, except now Sega themselves are working on it, and they have M2. And who is M2 is, I think, responsible for the 3DS versions of some classic Sega games, you know, like 3D Streets of Rage and 3D Echo the Dolphin. I think M2 was responsible for those, and M2 is, I think, also responsible for the Sega Ages games, which are getting released on the Switch and things like that. And they are apparently doing the like emulation part. They are basically working on the emulator, I think, for the Mega Drive Mini, which you know, that's good news, I think, because I mean, you can't have AtGames making these fucking things, because then it's just going to be a disaster again. And yeah, I think that's good news. I'm probably gonna buy a Sega Mega Drive Mini at some point. And I already know that I'll probably never fucking play on it, because I have a real Mega Drive, so I don't really have a reason to use that thing ever. But it'll be cool to own, you know. You know, just like the Super Nintendo Classic Mini, it's just a cool thing to own. But I'll probably play it like once or twice. Anyways, that's enough bullshit. Let's actually play this fucking game again. I've wasted enough time now. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say, you know. And you know, I kind of stopped playing the game just to talk about it for a bit, because I can't really do two things at the same time, you know. If I have to talk about Analog and the Mega Drive Mini and stuff like that, and I really have to think about what I want to say, then I can't be playing a game at the same time, because then I'll just start mumbling like an idiot, which I'm sure you've noticed that I started doing that. It's late at night. I'm kind of tired. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I hope what I said made sense. So yeah, you know, I'm actually kind of excited for the Mega Drive Mini, because you know, even though I'll probably never play games on it, it still looks cool, you know. It's still an interesting... Oh fuck, I fucked it up again. Now I can't go up here. Well, whatever. So yeah, I'm sorry for that break in gameplay for a bit there, but I had a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, and I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna pause the game for a bit. But yeah, I think I might actually buy one of those 8-bit do controllers at some point. Oh. I don't have enough gold for anything. And yeah, the analog, I watched this video by Digital Foundry about the analog Mega SG, and I still don't really understand what it does, to be honest with you, but it is a very interesting piece of hardware, the analog Mega SG. Same thing with the analog Super Nintendo or whatever it is. I haven't really, you know, been up to date with that, but ooh, secret golds. What's this? Is that a 1-up or something? What was that? And yeah, the Mega Drive Mini. Yeah, it's just gonna be an emulator in a box that looks like a Mega Drive. You know? And as somebody who owns the SEGA Tower of Power, the SEGA Mega Drive CD32X, the whole thing. And what is this? What the hell? These are some real weird enemies, and I'm gonna die again because I haven't figured out the pattern. Whoa, nope. Ah, come on. I need to start paying more attention to this game because I'm not doing so great right now. But yeah, you know, Mega SG, Mega Drive Mini, the 8-bit do controllers, Xeno Crisis, Tanglewood, Tenzer. I mean, there's a lot of things to be excited about with regards to the SEGA Mega Drive. It's still very much alive, and I'm very happy with that. You know? But like I said, you know, like there are certain things where I kind of go, I don't really know what the point of this is, and for me that's the Retron 5. That's really a thing where I'm kind of like, what the fuck even is the point of this thing? You know? And in case you don't know, the Retron 5, it's, you know, it's not an official console by SEGA or Nintendo or anything like that. It's some other company who's making it, and it is like a 5-in-1 video game console. You know, you can put Mega Drive, Master System, NES, Super Nintendo, and something else, some other console games in there. And you know, you have to input the real cartridges into that console, and then it uses like some open source emulators that you can just find online to emulate the games. Which, you know, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine, but I don't really understand why you would want to do that, you know? Like if you want to emulate games, then like just download some emulators on a PC or something. You know, or get like a Raspberry Pi or something and throw some emulators on there. And then I'm sure most people are smart enough to figure out how to get some ROMs from old games, which I know that's not legal, but still, you know, I'm sure you'll be able to figure that out, and then, you know, just grab a controller and play those games on your PC. And one of the main pros of doing that is the convenience of it. You know, you can have a giant library of video games on your computer, and you can play all those games at any moment in time, and that is why you would emulate, you know, because it's easy. But it comes at the cost of having to emulate the games instead of playing them on real hardware. So you're going to get inconsistencies, you're going to get inaccuracies within the emulators. But at least you don't have to physically pick up the cartridge, insert it in the console, and then turn the console on. But that is what you have to do with the Retron 5. So you get the inconvenience of having to use real cartridges, but then you also get like the inaccuracies of playing a game on an emulator. And so the only thing that the Retron 5 does that is kind of cool, in my opinion, is the fact that you can use the real controllers with the console. So you can use Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive controllers with that console. But other than that, I don't really see the point of doing that. You know, like, if you want to play Super Nintendo games, either get a real Super Nintendo, or, you know, download an emulator. There's plenty of them out there on the internet. So, you know, that's just kind of my point of view of consoles like the Retron 5. You know, and at least with the Super Nintendo Classic Mini and the Sega Mega Drive Mini, which really should have been called the Mini Drive instead of the Mega Drive Mini, but whatever. At least with those type of consoles, you get an official product by either Sega or Nintendo. You get an official emulator that was programmed by either Sega or Nintendo. You get the real controllers as well, which, you know, you can use those with the Retron 5. And you still get emulation. But you also get like replicas, like miniature versions of real consoles. And you also get built-in games, which something like the Retron 5 doesn't even have. So, you know, that kind of makes me wonder, like, what the fuck even is the point of this thing? Whereas with the Super Nintendo Classic Mini and the Sega Mega Drive Mini and even the PlayStation Classic, I get that it's a cool thing to own. You know, even if you never fucking play video games on it, they are cool little things to own. You know, like even the PlayStation Classic, I almost bought one, even though I know that the PlayStation Classic fucking sucks because, you know, the emulation is kind of bad and the selection of games isn't that great and stuff like that. But it's still like a cool product to own because it looks like a PlayStation, but it's a miniature version of it. You know, like I'm not against emulation or anything like that. I've emulated games in the past, but I mean, I prefer to use real consoles. That's just my point of view. And I really have to look more into the Mega SG and what Analog really does with their consoles, because I'm not really sure about it, but it looks really interesting. And so does the Sega Mega Drive Mini. I'm probably going to buy one, but I'm probably also never going to play games on it, you know? I know that's kind of I know that's kind of stupid, but it's just a cool thing to own, I think. You know, I'm not really like a collector or anything like that, but sometimes it's like, hey, that would be a cool thing to own, and then I'll buy it because I think it's a neat object to have. But I don't really consider myself to be a collector or anything like that. Like, I still mainly just buy games to play them, you know, not to put them on a shelf. But here's a tip for anyone who wants to get into collecting video games. Start with the PlayStation 2, because PlayStation 2s are really fucking cheap, and PlayStation 2 games are really fucking cheap, because they made a lot of them. So, you know, it's probably the easiest console, along with like the Nintendo Wii, to actually like build a collection for. But that said, I don't really consider myself to be a collector. You know, I own a lot of games, but I also play most of them still. So that's just kind of how I look at these things. But yeah, I've been talking a lot. I do realize that I've been talking a lot and not playing this game a lot. But I'm kind of having trouble concentrating right now because I'm a little tired. But don't worry, I'll play the game again. I'll start playing the game again soon. How about right now? I've wasted enough time right now. Let's actually play the game again. Like, you know that feeling that you sometimes get when you're a little bit tired and you can't really focus on anything? That's what I have right now. Like, you can't really, like, collect your thoughts. And I assume that you're able to notice it right now. That I'm kind of just, like, mumbling and ranting about stupid shit. Because I'm kind of noticing it myself, that I'm just kind of saying stupid shit that nobody cares about. So let's try to focus on the game for a bit. You know, let's just end the stupid news segment, which should have ended like an hour ago at this point. Alright, so I don't really like this boss very much. Oh, why didn't I jump there? That was stupid. Alright, he's dead. Which is good. I'm happy with that. I really need another hit point. Alright, so I have this orb in my inventory now, which I'm not sure what it does, but we'll figure it out at some point. Yeah, I can buy the stone transmutation right now, but I really need a hit point, so I'm not gonna buy anything right now. Maybe I should just, like, save up the gold just to get hit points instead of buying the transmutations or anything like that, you know? Oh, come on. I'm not playing too well right now. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. I think this is gonna be my last attempt, and then I'm just gonna play a different game for a bit, you know? I'm not gonna play it for very long. Whatever game it might be, still not sure what I want to play, but I'll think about it after I die. Again. Which won't take long, I don't think, in this game. So let's not buy anything and let's just spend all of our gold on hit points. That might be a smart move, right? Might stay alive a little bit longer if I do that. Okay, there we go. See, when I'm not talking, I play a little bit better usually. I want to see a little bit more of this game, you know? At least a little bit more of this game. So we got that hit point back, and yeah, let's just keep the gold. I don't know. Oh wow, let's not stand there for too long. What is that, a fucking gun? Uh-oh. He's got the Konami justifier. Watch out. That's not baby blue, so it's not the Konami justifier. Actually shoots 3 fucking bullets at once. How is that fair? Nope. Alright, so I think I'm starting to figure it out a little bit here. You just have to be careful, you know? Just time things properly and you won't get fucked. I'm usually way too impatient in boss fights like this, where I just walk up to the boss and I try to kill him, and then, you know, it's like, dude, just take it slow, you know? Alright. So, that whole thing was just one level? That's cool. You know? So, I got two options here. I can either go here or I can go there. And, I'm kind of feeling this one right here. Right, so I can buy the glass transmutation now, but I really shouldn't. So I'm gonna buy the energy one again, because I really want to see more of this game. So, oh, we've now moved to Rome. So we went from America to Rome in 45 before Christ. The virus was wild, like a demon child. So now we are in Rome. Or in Italy, at least. I think it's gonna be Rome, but... I think it's supposed to be Rome, but I don't know. Oh wow. I don't like that. These things are annoying. Oh, what the hell? Jesus, what are you doing up there? Get down. Why are you on the cross, mate? Why are you shooting fireballs at me? Oh yeah, so yeah, alright, so there are multiple stages within a level. Like, I thought it was kind of weird how it said level complete, when I thought that I had already completed a bunch of levels, but the way that it works, I think, is that there's a bunch of stages within a level, you know? It's like Sonic, where there's like an Act 1 and an Act 2 and stuff like that. Man, I wish I had enough gold to save. That would have been cool. But I need all of it on the... I need to spend all my gold on the hit points, which kind of sucks. Oh no, leave me alone. Oh, I don't like that. I really don't like those things. Like, they do this, like, a really annoying arc. Oh. No, I can't jump up there. Great move. I have to go down here now. Can't get to the treasure chest, unfortunately, because you can't go back, so... That sucks. Still 110, huh? I don't have enough for that. Alright, here we go. Alright, fine. A hit point, finally. That's good. Still not sure what these balls do, but maybe you're supposed to have like a certain transmutation to use those things. I don't know. Oh, I thought I was gonna be dead for a second there. Wait. Wait, how do I get there? How do I get up there? Yeah, well, how do I get back? Like, what is that shit? Is there a transmutation that lets you go back? Because if there is, then I want that. Oh. Alright, be careful here. Don't stand too close and keep jumping and you'll make it. I want me gold! Have you ever seen the Leprechaun? That's a great movie. I mean, it's stupid, but that's what makes it great, you know? So, you know, I'm just gonna buy the hit points because it seems like the most sensible thing to do if you want to get far in this game. I don't know why I'm thinking about the Leprechaun, but I don't know. I saw the word gold and I had to think, I just thought of him. But, that's a great, stupid movie. You know what, if you know what I'm trying to say, right? It's not really a good movie, but it's funny. I've never seen the sequels, you know. I know that there's like a sequel where he like goes to the hood or something like that. Never saw it. Yeah, I think there's like a transmutation that lets you go back, because how else am I supposed to get these treasure chests, you know? Anyway, back to the game. You know, one thing about this game that I do like is how responsive it is, you know? Like, it really does control very nicely, very smoothly. I like that. There's really, like, no delay or anything like that, which is one of the cool things about old games in general, is that, you know, nowadays, with a lot of games, there's, like, input lag and shit like that, and not really getting that from this at all. Oh, I'm fucking dead. What the hell is this shit, dude? How am I supposed to dodge all of this garbage? Alright, and just have to, like, maybe run back and forth a bit and jump. Also, look at that guy. He's just chilling. Oh. Alright, so, I died. Again, I'm sorry. But, that will be the end of Tenzer for now. I really gotta practice with this game, I think, because, as you can see, I'm not very good at this game. So let's actually play a different game. I'm only gonna play it for a little bit, you know, not for very long. Let's see, what game do I want to play? I guess we could play Tanglewood. So this is Tanglewood, as you can see. A game by Big Evil Corporation, also known as Electronic Arts. That's a joke. Very, very bad joke, by the way. So yeah, let's see, what else do I have to talk about? Well, in case you don't know, I also have a Sega. This is played on a European PAL SEGA Mega Drive. I also have a NTSC SEGA Genesis, but it's one of those Genesis consoles that has the really poor audio quality. So I've been trying to figure out how to get like a mod installed into that console so that it fixes the audio quality so I can use it for this stream. And normally I don't mod consoles ever. Like, I'm kind of against modding consoles, but with this Sega Genesis in particular, the sound quality is so bad that it really does need to be modded. So I've been trying to figure out how to do that, and I think if I can, I would rather not do it myself, you know, because you need to like order this board, this like mega amp thing, and then you have to like solder it to the console, which sucks. So yeah, I've been trying to figure out if I can get somebody else to do the work for me because I don't know how to solder. You know, and it's like a really tiny like board that you have to solder into the main board of the Sega Genesis, and I don't know how to do that, you know. Even if I look at tutorials and stuff like that, I still don't know how to fucking do that. So I'm gonna try to figure out if I can find someone who can do it for me, because I don't want to like destroy the console or anything like that. So anyway, this is Tanglewood, and this is our main character called Nim. And what's funny is the first thing that I did when I got this game is I attached it to Sonic and Knuckles to see what would happen if I played this game with Sonic and Knuckles attached. And, well, you get the Blue Sphere game. You get the entire Blue Sphere game. So Sonic and Knuckles thinks that Tanglewood is Sonic 1, apparently. Because that is what happens when you, attach Sonic 1 to Sonic and Knuckles. You get the Blue Sphere game. And the same thing happens with Tanglewood. I haven't tried Sonic and Knuckles with Tenzer yet, but I guess I'll have to do that just to see what will happen. Also, something stupid that I did, which I probably shouldn't have done, was I attached the Master System converter to Sonic and Knuckles to see what would happen if I did that, and if you do that, then nothing happens, you know? Like, there's just a black screen if you turn the console on with Sonic and Knuckles attached to the Master System converter attached to a Master System game. You know, you're just gonna get nothing, and I probably shouldn't have done that, you know? Like, probably not a smart move to do that. So yeah, this is Tanglewood, and this is like It's kind of like a puzzle platform type game. Where you play as a Nim. And I haven't really played this game very much, so that's why I'm gonna do it right now. So yeah, Nim and Knuckles. It's a thing that exists. Not really. So yeah, this is another new game for the SEGA Mega Drive. Just like Tenzer. And this game was made by a guy called Matt Phillips. Right? And Matt Phillips has really interesting looking tattoos because he has screenshots of Sonic 2 in full color tattooed on his arm, which is which is kind of cool actually, you know. I'm not a tattoo guy, but I gotta be honest with you, he's got some cool tattoos. But anyway, about this game. So yeah, this is a game that was made using like official tools that other studios worked with back in the 90s when they were making SEGA Mega Drive games. So Matt Phillips, what he did was he bought a Mega Drive development kit. And he got like a really old PC with Windows 95 on it, and he had to get some special like board that he needed to make the whole thing work, and he programmed this game, you know, the old way, with old development tools and stuff like that, which is cool. I think that's really cool, you know. I mean, nowadays you could probably find more advanced tools and stuff like that, and you could just, you know, you can just mess around with emulators and things like that, but I mean, making a game the way that people did it back in the 90s is cool in my opinion. So, I think I'm gonna have to push this ball somewhere, but I don't really remember where it goes. I don't think it's supposed to go here, you know? Where am I supposed to push this thing again? Is it here? Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, and then Nim turns yellow to become Super Nim, to become Super Saiyan, and gotta be honest with you, I really haven't played this game very much, so I already forgot what I'm supposed to do here in the first fucking level. Let's actually try to figure it out. It can't be that hard, right? So, I think I'm supposed to go to the right, and then maybe jump up there, which I'm not doing right now. So yeah, this is a very relaxing game, very nice game. There are enemies, though, I believe, later on. But, you know, the first level is easy, of course. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to float over there. Of course. Right. There we go again. So yeah, C jumps in this game. And then B floats. See, that's what I'm supposed to do. Alright, here's this rock, which I need to push somewhere. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in, like, the history of old video games and the way that they are developed, then Tanglewood is a very interesting game because it was made the way that people did it in the 90s, you know? Except it was made in 2018, so... So this is as authentic as you can get, basically, with the SEGA Mega Drive. Come on. This game has really interesting music too, by Freeze Dream. I believe that is his name. Well, not his real name, of course, but that is the artist's name. What am I doing? Oh, I'm supposed to push another thingy. That's right. I'm supposed to find another one of those fuzzy ball things. And then push it over to the right, maybe? Or to the left, I mean. But I can't find that thing for some reason. Oh, that's an enemy? I didn't even know that that was an enemy. Alright, so this game does have checkpoints. Doesn't seem to have a live system. So, what is this small little thing here? Like, is it an enemy or is it not an enemy? Yeah, it is an enemy, okay. So it tries to run away from you, but then it kills you if you get too close. Interesting. Oh, maybe this is where I'm supposed to go. Ah, yes, this is it. Yeah, see, that's how you're supposed to do it. So, that's the first level, I think. I like that transition. That's a cool effect. Alright, let's see, where am I supposed... Oh, I think I'm supposed to go up here. So I need to push that rock over here, I think. Then jump up there. Okay, and then what? Or am I supposed to go to the left? Not sure. Not really sure where I'm supposed to go right now, but... There's that thing again. Yeah, it's just... Oh, it's just one hit and you're dead. But at least there's checkpoints, you know? So yeah, this is another really interesting game. Because, you know, it's brand new, but it feels like an old SEGA Mega Drive game. So let's see, how do I do this? And now if I do this, then I can go up here. And then is there anything to the right, maybe? Oh yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. Okay, so I don't have to go all the way back, of course. I just need to jump up here, and then jump up there, and then jump up here, and then if I time it correctly, yeah, there we go. See, it's not a... wasn't that difficult to figure out, but... Alright, so we got another rock. And another checkpoint as well. There's the bad guy. Oh. Of course, I should have known that I would have to run away from him. You know. But I was too late with the button. But at least this game gives you a checkpoint, you know. The only thing that makes this game different from like really old games is the music, of course, which is quite different from most old games. And the fact that you seem to have unlimited lives and you get checkpoints. You know, most old games just gave you like 1 or 2 lives or 3 lives. And then after that it was like, yeah, fuck you, dude. Alright, I guess I'm just supposed to run? Okay, so he doesn't jump apparently, but oh shit. Maybe throw the rock on his head? Yep, there we go. See, so this is, you know, kind of like a puzzle platform game, you know? Which I like these type of games. I think they're cool. You know, you just kind of push rocks and things and try to figure out how to get to the next part of the stage. Wait. Whoa. Why does it do that? Why does it put me all the way back there if I do that? Oh, I'm supposed to jump onto that branch, I think, right? So I think I'm gonna have to push one of those fuzzy things into that little hole again. there it is. Alright, so now where's the hole again? Is it to the left or is it to the right? I think it's to the right, but I'm not sure anymore. Ah, yeah, see, here we go. Can I do anything with these? No, I cannot. I cannot do anything with these. Alright, now it starts to feel like Sonic with those springs. That's a very Sonic type thing, to have springs and then springs at an angle and then you have to jump between them. Alright, time to not get killed by this thing. Another checkpoint. I wonder if this game actually like saves your progress too, or if you have to like restart after you shut down the game. I'm assuming it doesn't actually save your progress, but you know, you never know with these newer games. Like if this actually was an old game, then I would assume that it doesn't save your progress, but I don't know how long this game is, you know, maybe it's kind of a short game. If that's the case, then I'm sure that it won't actually save anything. So, let's see, where do I go with this thing? Not sure where I'm supposed to push this thing, but I think it might be over here. Okay, so there's the bad guy. I forgot what his name was, but I'm sure he has a name. The big monster. Alright, so now we're gonna turn green, I assume. Oh, that's a cool power. Right, so I'm dead again. I think I'll play more of this game next time. I think it's time to quit now. This is a cool game. I really need to spend more time with these games because I think once I figure out really how to play them, that will make things a lot more interesting in these videos. So that's it. Tänzer and Tanglewood, both really cool games. Check them out. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.